Have you ever felt as though the world around you had suddenly shattered? There are seasons in life when it does not merely test your endurance, but pushes you into shadowed corners where no way out seems to exist. These are the moments when the plans you once poured your heart into collapse without warning, when the people you trusted most choose to walk away, and when your own mind becomes the most toxic echo of all, relentlessly questioning your worth. In those broken moments, we often rush outward, desperately searching for a lifeline called happiness. But ancient Buddhist wisdom whispers a different truth. Happiness does not wait at the end of a chase. It is not a reward reserved for some distant future. It is a state of being you can become, even now. True happiness is not the absence of pain, but the ability to keep the candle of peace within you from being extinguished by the storm. Today, we will not speak of distant theories. Instead, we will journey together into 10 awakening truths, soul remedies that can help you rebuild your inner world, so that no matter how harsh life may become, you can still remain standing, still smile, and still find a positive light shining through the shattered pieces of your heart. Take a deep breath, set aside the worries waiting for you outside, and begin this journey back to yourself. Part 1. Presence happiness has no tomorrow. The greatest paradox of being human is that we spend our entire lives searching for happiness, yet we are rarely truly present in the very place where happiness exists. Most of the time, we are like weary travelers taking endless journeys through time inside our own minds. Pause for a moment and observe your thoughts right now. Where is your mind? Has it drifted back into distant memories toward the words that once wounded you, the mistakes you wish you could undo, or the people who have already left your life? When the mind becomes trapped in the past, you begin digging up the graves of regret and sorrow with your own hands. You suffer over something that is already gone, something that holds no real power over the present, except the power to steal your peace. Or perhaps your mind has rushed ahead into the future. Perhaps you are anxious over unpaid bills, afraid of disasters that have not happened, or busy constructing visions of that distant day when you will finally be happy, when you have enough money, when you find the perfect partner, when every problem disappears. But dear friend, the future is only a phantom woven by the imagination. When you live too much for tomorrow, you lose today, the only moment you truly have any power to touch. Buddhist wisdom reminds us of a truth so simple, yet so profound. Happiness has no tomorrow. If you cannot find peace in this breath, here and now, you will never find it anywhere else. Anxiety is born the moment the mind refuses to remain where life is actually unfolding. When life becomes most painful, the mind tends to magnify that pain by tying it to tragedies from the past and fears of the future. It creates a storm within far more violent than what is truly happening in this moment. But if you know how to gather yourself, to withdraw your energy from both yesterday and tomorrow and bring it back to the single meeting point of the present, you will discover that you are still safe. In this very moment, you are breathing. In this very moment, your heart is still beating. You have survived every storm before this one in order to be here now, and you carry enough strength to walk through this moment too. To live mindfully does not mean ignoring hardship or abandoning your dreams. It simply means refusing to become a servant to unreal scenarios. When you work, just work. When you walk, feel your feet touching the ground. When you drink a sip of water, feel its coolness dissolve in your throat. Every small act, when done with wholehearted presence, becomes a quiet ritual of healing. True happiness is not some radiant destination waiting at the end of the road. It is the ability to notice the beauty of the road beneath your feet, even when that road is covered in stones. Do not wait until everything becomes perfect before giving yourself permission to be at peace. Begin by calling your mind home, placing it where your body already is, and learning to smile at reality exactly as it is. Remember this secret. for it opens the door to freedom. Wherever your feet are, let your mind be there too. Part 2. Distinguishing pain from suffering, the secret of the second arrow. Along the journey of human life, there is one harsh truth no one can escape. Pain is part of the law of existence, and yet Buddhist wisdom offers a profound teaching that can free us from the chains of adversity. The clear distinction between pain and suffering. We often confuse the two, but in truth, they belong to entirely different realms. To understand this, imagine that you are walking through a forest and are suddenly struck by an arrow. The immediate sting, the wound in the flesh, the shock that runs through the nervous system, this is the first arrow. In real life, that arrow takes the form of hardships you cannot control, a failed project, an unexpected goodbye, the loss of someone you love, or a betrayal by a person you trusted. This is pain. It belongs to objective reality, to the immediate emotional or physical impact of what has happened. It hurts, yes, but it is also part of being human. And yet the real tragedy usually does not lie in the first arrow. Buddhism teaches that most of us go on to shoot ourselves with a second arrow. This arrow does not come from the outside. It is released by our own minds. The second arrow is our negative mental reaction afterward, the self-torment, the resentment, the endless questions that spiral without rest. Why me? This is not fair. What if I had done things differently? Is my life ruined now? When you allow your mind to replay dark scenarios again and again, when you cling to regret about the past and fear the future through the wound of the present, you are driving the second arrow deeper into an injury that already exists. And it is this arrow that creates suffering, something heavier, more persistent, and often far more destructive than the original pain. The first arrow wounds the body, but the second arrow poisons the soul. Pain may be unavoidable, but suffering is in many ways a choice. So how do we find light when life seems to keep hurling cruel arrows in our direction? The key is this: remove the second arrow. Removing the second arrow does not mean pretending you are not hurt. It means accepting the pain of the first arrow as something that has already happened, while firmly refusing to pile onto it layers of self-blame, bitterness, or imagined catastrophe. When something painful happens, observe that pain with mindfulness. Tell yourself gently, "This has happened. It truly hurts, but I will not allow my mind to make it hurt more." When you stop resisting reality, when you stop feeding the endless if-onlys, the second arrow has nowhere left to lodge itself. The wound from the first arrow will, in time, begin to heal according to the natural rhythm of body and soul. But the suffering caused by the second arrow can only fade when you consciously let go of the bow of mental torment in your own hands. Remember this: your greatest strength is not the ability to stop life from shooting its arrows. Your greatest strength is the power to refuse to wound yourself a second time. Peace begins to return the moment you learn to look at your pain without attaching to it a story that condemns your entire life. Because in the end, a wound is only a passing point of pain, but suffering is the pit we dig around it with our own minds. Choose healing, not torment. Let pain remain only pain. Do not turn it into a life sentence. Part 3. Letting go of burdens that were never yours, freeing yourself from borrowed expectations. Have you ever wondered why your shoulders feel so heavy, even on days when you have done nothing especially exhausting? The truth is, much of the fatigue we carry does not come from the real weight of life itself, but from the invisible burdens we unconsciously pick up along the way. They are borrowed expectations, the standards of others that we mistakenly accept as our own goals. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the human soul is like a clear, still lake, yet we keep throwing into it the stones of worldly judgment. You carry your parents' disappointment, your co-workers' opinions, society's definition of success, and even the criticism of people who do not truly know your story. You hold on to all of it, treasuring it inwardly, as though it was something precious. Then wonder why your inner world feels so crowded, so suffocating. Look deeply into your heart and answer with complete honesty. How much of the sadness you are carrying is truly yours? So often, we live as though we owe the world an explanation. We shape and trim ourselves to fit a mold that someone else has already cast. We fear disappointing others. We fear being seen as a failure in the eyes of the crowd. But the truth is this: when you try to please everyone, the one person you are truly abandoning is yourself. You spend your precious energy building a castle for others to live in, while your own inner home grows cold, empty, and neglected. Letting go of burdens that were never yours is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-respect. It begins the moment you realize this. Other people's opinions of you belong to their reality, not to your truth. The way they interpret your failure reveals their worldview. It does not define your worth. In Zen philosophy, freedom begins when you dare to return what does not belong to you. Learn to set aside the white noise of society so you can hear the quiet voice within. You do not have to carry the wounds of other people, nor do you have to bear the weight of dreams they could not fulfill themselves. Each person has their own music to play, their own path to walk. And when you finally dare to set down that basket full of stones, you will feel your shoulders grow light again. Your feet will remember how to dance, instead of merely dragging themselves through exhaustion. Do not let your life become a faded imitation of outward expectations. Take a deep breath and tell yourself this liberating truth. You were not born to please the world. You were born to live fully as your truest self. The moment you stop borrowing expectations, you begin to reclaim your life. And that is when real happiness begins to take root, not from outer approval, but from inner freedom. Part 4. You are the sky, thoughts are the clouds, the art of observing the mind. One of the greatest reasons we become so exhausted in the face of adversity is that we believe too deeply in everything we think. When pain arrives, the mind begins weaving dark stories. I am worthless. Things will never get better. I am a failure. And in those moments, you do not merely have a negative thought, you become that thought. You identify yourself with the raging waves and let them wash away the last fragments of your confidence. Buddhist wisdom offers an image powerful enough to change the way you see your inner world entirely. You are the sky, and thoughts are only clouds. Look up at the vast blue sky. The sky is spacious, still, and always present. It is the open field that holds everything. Clouds may come, sometimes soft white clouds of joy, sometimes heavy dark clouds of sorrow, and sometimes violent storms of anger or despair. But do you notice this? No matter how fierce the storm becomes, no matter how long the dark clouds cover the horizon, the sky itself is never stained. It is not altered by the clouds. It is not wounded by thunder. And it does not struggle to drive the clouds away. It simply holds them. When you are in pain, practice what might be called the art of observing. Do not rush to believe every harsh judgment that arises in your mind. Instead of saying, I am suffering, learn to say, I notice that a feeling of suffering is moving through me. Instead of saying, I am lonely, gently observe, a cloud of loneliness is appearing in the sky of my mind. This small shift in language creates a miraculous distance, and that distance is freedom. When you stand in the place of the observer, you begin to see that thoughts are only passing mental events. They arise, linger for a moment, and then dissolve like mist. They are not you. They do not define your eternal worth. Our mistake is that we so often try to use our hands to push away dark clouds, or we panic and run the moment we sense a storm approaching. But the more we resist, the more chaotic the mind becomes. Zen wisdom teaches a different way. Sit still and watch. When you stop fighting, when you stop identifying yourself with pessimistic inner stories, their power begins to fade on its own. You start to realize that behind even the thickest clouds, the blue sky of awareness is still there. It has never disappeared. The art of observing helps you remain positive, not by forcing yourself to think cheerful thoughts, but by recognizing a deeper truth. Painful thoughts are only passing guests, while you are the keeper of an infinite and silent inner space. Whenever you feel yourself being pulled into the spiral of self-blame or anxiety, take a deep breath and picture the vast sky within you. Let your thoughts come and go freely without clinging, without judgment. You are the pure awareness that exists behind all of it. Remind yourself each day of this quiet truth. Thoughts are only passing clouds. You are the eternal blue sky. And when you learn to rest in the position of the sky, no storm in life can truly wound the peace at the center of your being. Part 5. Energy boundaries protecting your inner climate. Along the journey toward peace, we often forget an essential truth. Your soul is like a delicate ecosystem, an inner climate that must be protected and tended each day. There are days when your heart feels warm and sunlit, and there are days when storms roll in and leave everything cold and dim. Most of us believe that this inner weather is shaped entirely by fate or by the people around us. But Buddhist wisdom teaches a different lesson, one of self-mastery. You are the gatekeeper of your own temple of energy. Take a moment to look back on your day. How many times did you say yes while your heart was crying out no? You agreed to a meaningless gathering because you were afraid of seeming strange. You quietly endured a friend's toxic complaints because you did not want to hurt them. You sacrificed your precious time for rest in order to carry responsibilities that were never truly yours, all for a little temporary approval. Each time you do this, you unknowingly throw open the gates of your inner garden, allowing harsh winds to enter and drain the life from your roots. Mental exhaustion does not come only from working too hard. It also comes from allowing your energy to leak into places that do not deserve it. And when your energy is depleted, the world around you begins to turn gray. A small problem becomes enough to break you. A passing remark suddenly cuts deep. This is when your inner climate has become polluted by outside influences, simply because you forgot to establish boundaries. Setting energy boundaries is not selfishness, nor is it narrow-heartedness. In the spirit of Zen, it is an act of compassion first and foremost, compassion toward yourself. You cannot offer cool water to others if the well within you has already run dry. You cannot warm another soul if the fire inside your own heart is fading. Learning to say no is one of the ways you honor the value of your inner peace. Understand this clearly. No is a complete sentence. You do not owe anyone a long explanation for protecting your stillness. You have the right to refuse hateful arguments, to step away from relationships that only drain your joy, and even to turn away from the endless stream of negative news surrounding you on your phone each day. Boundaries are not walls built to isolate you from the world. They are gentle filters, allowing only what is kind, true, and nourishing to enter your inner space. And when you begin protecting your inner climate, something beautiful happens. You find that you have more energy for what truly matters. You begin responding to hardship with calm instead of panic. You realize that you are no longer a victim of other people's moods, because you now hold the key to the gates of your own soul. Learn to treat your energy as one of your most precious treasures. Be brave enough to step away from environments that cause your spirit to wither. Do not be afraid of disappointing others. Be afraid of losing your connection with yourself. Whenever you feel yourself being pulled into the whirlwind outside, remember this. To protect your energy is to protect your life. Sometimes saying no to the world is the only way to say yes to your own peace. Only when the garden within you is kept safe and whole will you have the strength to spread the fragrance of happiness and positivity into the world. Part 6. Going with the flow, the strength of gentleness. In the ordinary view of the world, we are often taught that strength lies in hardness, in confronting life head-on, in never backing down, in forcing our will against whatever stands in our way. We tighten ourselves against adversity, believing that true power means resisting, controlling, and bending unwanted events to our desires. But Zen wisdom offers a very different vision of what real strength is. It tells us that power does not live in rigidity. It lives in the ability to go with the flow, a gentleness filled with quiet intelligence. Look at water. Water is the softest thing in the world, and yet almost nothing can truly stop it. When a great stone blocks its path, water does not throw itself against the rock in anger. It does not remain frozen in place, lamenting the unfairness of the landscape. Instead, it quietly searches for the smallest opening, curves itself around the shape of the stone, and slips through so it can continue its journey toward the ocean. And over time, it is often this patient softness that wears down even the hardest rock. This is the art of living when life becomes harsh. When something painful or unexpected happens, the mind's instinctive reaction is resistance. You tense yourself against reality. You pour your energy into fighting what has already happened, and that resistance creates enormous strain within the soul. It is like trying to swim upstream against a violent waterfall. The more force you use, the faster you become exhausted, and in the end, the current still carries you away in shock and defeat. But going with the flow does not mean giving up or surrendering in a passive way. It is an active and deeply conscious choice. To flow with life means accepting reality as it is, rather than as you wish it were. Instead of wasting your strength asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking a different question. This is where life is now. How can I move through it wisely? Learn to become softer in the face of change. If one door closes, do not keep striking your head against it. Step back and notice the other paths beginning to open. If a relationship comes to an end, do not cling to the broken pieces until they cut your hands. Let it drift away like a fallen leaf, making room for the new green shoots of growth. Rigidity makes you vulnerable. It causes you to crack under the storms of life. But softness allows you to adapt, to bend, and to endure. The moment you stop bracing yourself against everything, you begin to see that adversity is not always a wall. Sometimes it is simply a turn in the river of your life. The bend may be difficult, yes, but it may also be guiding you toward a wider sky. Let your heart learn how to move like water. Do not become a dry, hardened stone, worn down by frustration. Become the cool, living stream, flexible, peaceful, and quietly unstoppable in the face of every obstacle. Whenever you find yourself tightening with the urge to control everything, take a deep breath and remind yourself, water does not fight the stone. It simply finds a way forward. Learn to move through reality rather than against it. And when you learn to flow with the current of life, you discover a rare and beautiful freedom, a place where no pressure can truly break you, and no obstacle can keep you from walking toward peace. Part 7. Gratitude. The light within the darkness. We often mistake gratitude for something that comes naturally only after we receive a gift, achieve a shining success, or find that life is unfolding exactly as we hoped. But Buddhist wisdom offers us a far braver and deeper lesson than that. Gratitude is not the result of happiness. It is the path that leads us to happiness, especially when we are standing in the darkness of adversity. Imagine that your life has just passed through a kind of inner fire. A painful failure, an irreversible loss, has burned down what you spent so long building, leaving behind nothing but a field of grey ashes. In such moments, the mind's instinct is to grieve what has vanished, to resent the flames, and to see only a future swallowed by uncertainty. But it is precisely here, if you are quiet enough to kneel down and look closely into those ashes, that you may begin to find the small diamonds the darkness could not destroy. And what are those diamonds? They are the resilience of your heart, still beating after so much hurt. They are the costly lesson in trust you learned through betrayal. They are the quiet presence of the one friend who remained beside you when you had nothing left to offer. And sometimes, they are something even simpler, the gentle breath rising in your chest, a peace you had forgotten while chasing the glitter of outward things. Gratitude in hardship is not self-deception. It is not the blind attempt to paint life in soft colors when it is clearly breaking apart. It is the ability to shift the focus of your attention. The human mind carries a natural bias toward the negative. We stare at the hole in the garment and forget that the rest of the fabric is still keeping us warm. Gratitude is the art of adjusting the lens of the soul so that we can see what is still here, instead of drowning only in what has been taken away. In Zen philosophy, every hardship is seen as a stern teacher, helping you refine the diamond of awareness within. If life were never painful, you would never understand the true value of peace. If there were no dark nights, you would never fully cherish the light of morning. To be grateful even for your trials is to loosen their grip on you. The moment you begin giving thanks for what still remains, however small, a quiet warmth begins to spread from within, driving back the coldness of despair. Practice gratitude each day as though it were a ritual of survival. Even when your heart is breaking, try to find at least 3 small things to treasure: a warm cup of tea, the stillness of the night, or simply the strength that carried you through one more day. These diamonds may seem tiny, but gathered patiently, they become an inner treasure strong enough to help you endure any storm. Happiness does not come from possessing a perfect life. It comes from learning to cherish the hidden pieces of perfection within an imperfect reality. Do not wait for daylight to be grateful for the light. Learn instead to be grateful for the small candle still burning in the middle of your dark night. Within the ashes of failure, diamonds of wisdom are always hidden. Bend down, search for them, and you will discover that darkness is never absolute. Part 8. Love without attachment, cherishing without possessing. In this world, we are often led to believe that love is measured by closeness, by possession, by the desire to keep someone or something forever ours. We assume that to love is to hold on tightly, to grasp with all our strength so that nothing can ever be lost. But Buddhist wisdom reveals a painful truth. It is this very attachment that poisons peace and suffocates the very thing we call love. Look at a flower blooming in an open field. When you see that flower in all its radiance, so vivid and fragrant, what is the instinctive response of the grasping mind? It wants to pluck the flower, bring it home, place it in a vase, and make it belong to you. But the moment you tear it from the branch, you begin the process of killing it. The flower will fade, its fragrance will weaken, and that luminous beauty will soon become only a memory. You did not truly love the flower, you loved the feeling of possessing it. To love without attachment, or what we may call detachment, is one of the highest expressions of Zen wisdom. It teaches you how to love fully and sincerely, but with an open hand rather than a clenched fist. Loving without attachment does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. On the contrary, it is a love so vast and so deep that it allows the one you love to be fully themselves, to be free, to change, to follow the law of time. When you love someone, you cherish their presence in your life as you would cherish the fragrance of a flower still rooted on its branch. You savor the moments you share, yet you understand that they are not your possession. They have their own journey, their own wounds, and their own transformations, many of which will forever remain beyond your control. Some of life's deepest pain comes from trying to hold on to what is already trying to leave. We cling to an old image, an old role, a promise whose color has already faded. Attachment becomes a rope tightening around the throat of the soul, leaving you unable to breathe, unable to see the new beauty quietly blossoming around you. But when you learn how to love without clinging, you discover a strength unlike any other. Freedom. You may love your work, but if it disappears, you do not collapse, because your worth was never contained in that title. You may love someone deeply, but if they choose to leave, you are still able to smile and pray for their peace, because your own peace rests not in possession, but in your capacity to love. Learn to see life as a flowing river. You may dip your hands into the water and feel its coolness, but do not try to imprison the river in your palms. Water is only fresh when it is allowed to flow. Love is only beautiful when it is given room to breathe. Do not turn your heart into a narrow cage. Let it become a vast sky, where people and things are free to move, to change, to come and go in their own time. Then the fragrance of happiness will find its way to you, and stay far longer than anything ever could through force or grasping. Take a deep breath and remind yourself each day. To love is to let the flower bloom on its branch, to cherish its fragrance without needing to possess it. True happiness can only exist in freedom. Part 9. Healing is not a straight line. The art of being gentle with yourself. In this modern world, so filled with pressure to succeed and to appear whole, we quietly place harsh expectations even upon our own healing. We begin to believe that recovery should move in a straight upward line, that today must be better than yesterday, and tomorrow brighter than today. We long for some instant remedy that will erase the scars of the soul, so that one morning we may wake and find ourselves completely fine. But Zen wisdom reminds us of a more compassionate truth. Healing moves in spirals, not straight lines. It is a journey marked by turns, pauses, and even the necessary step backward. Look at nature. No flower blooms in every season, and even the moon cannot remain full forever. There are nights when the moon disappears deep into darkness, not because it is gone, but because it is resting before its next return to light. Your soul is no different. There will be days when you feel inspired, peaceful, and quietly strong. These are the sunlit days of the journey. But then, without warning, an old sorrow may rise again. A painful memory may return and pull you back toward despair. And in those moments, the inner critic begins to speak. Why am I still not over this? Why am I so weak? Have all my efforts been for nothing? But listen carefully. Those difficult days are not signs of failure. They are part of the journey itself. A step backward does not always mean you are losing ground. Sometimes it is simply the moment your soul needs to slow down, to soften, and to process a deeper layer of pain that you were not yet ready to face before. Healing is not the erasure of the wound. It is learning how to live in peace with the scar. True strength is not found in never falling. It is found in how you treat yourself when you are at your lowest. Instead of using judgment as a whip against your own wounds, try offering them compassion. Be kind to yourself in the same way you would be gentle with a frightened child. If today you are tired, allow yourself to rest. If today you need to cry, let the tears come. In Buddhist philosophy, freedom begins the moment you stop fighting your own emotional reality. Do not force yourself to be positive when your heart is full of storms. Instead of trying to fix yourself as though you were a broken machine, allow yourself to evolve like a tree. A tree does not condemn itself for losing its leaves in winter. It is simply gathering its life force for the spring to come. Whenever you feel lost in the labyrinth of difficult emotions, take a deep breath and whisper to yourself, "Today I am not okay, and that is perfectly okay." Learn to befriend your pain instead of turning it into an enemy. The moment you stop pressuring yourself to arrive at some flawless result, the pressure begins to dissolve, and in that softer space, natural healing can finally begin to grow. Remember this: you are doing better than you think. This journey belongs to you alone, and there is no universal timetable for finding your way back to peace. Healing is not a race towards some finish line. It is the slow, sacred process of learning to love yourself fully, even in your brokenness. Part 10. Stillness is the final answer. Truth reveals itself when the noise falls away. We are living in an age where busyness is praised as a virtue, and noise is mistaken for aliveness. From the moment we wake until the moment we close our eyes, the mind is surrounded by 1,000 sounds: phone notifications, unfinished conversations, worries about survival, and the endless whispers of judgment from the world around us. We rush outward, searching for answers to our pain in books, advice, distractions, and passing pleasures. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us of a higher truth. The answers that matter most are never found in noisy places. They reveal themselves only when the sounds around you and within you begin to fall silent. Imagine your mind as a glass of water clouded by the mud of anxiety and sorrow. The more forcefully you stir it, the more desperate you become to clear it, the murkier the water grows. So what is the only way to let it become clear again? You set it down, you leave it still. When you stop interfering, the mud naturally settles to the bottom and the water returns to its original clarity. Stillness is not meaningless emptiness. In the spirit of Zen, stillness is a sacred space where truth is finally able to speak. When the outer world grows quiet, you begin to hear the voice of intuition, the wisest guide you may have forgotten long ago. You begin to recognize what truly matters, which fears are only illusions, and who you are when the labels of the world fall away. The invitation here is not to retreat into some severe spiritual practice far removed from ordinary life. Begin instead with a small but powerful ritual. Give yourself exactly 5 minutes of complete silence each day. During those 5 minutes, you do not need to reach some exalted meditative state. You do not need to force your thoughts away. You do not need to expect any special result. Simply sit still, feel the contact between your body and the ground, listen to the breath as it enters and leaves. In that moment, you close the doors of communication with the world outside, so that you may open the door back to your own soul. Do not underestimate these brief 5 minutes. In a chaotic world, 5 minutes of stillness is a quiet revolution for the heart. It is where you restore your energy, reorient your direction, and return to the most stable refuge within yourself. When the noise stops, truth begins to appear, and you start to see that happiness is not something you must manufacture through effort. It has been there all along, waiting for you to recognize it in the stillness of your own being. Every storm in life eventually dissolves before a mind that has learned how to be still. The greatest strength a person can possess is not the ability to shout louder than the wind, but the ability to keep the heart calm as a silent lake, even while the storm is raging all around. Your journey toward peace begins and ends in the same place, the stillness within you. Take a deep breath, smile gently at reality, and let this final truth settle in your heart. Truth only reveals itself when the noise falls away. Happiness is not hidden in answers outside you. It lives in the stillness you are willing to give yourself. The closing. This 10-step journey back to awakening has carried us from the turbulence of the mind to the deepest stillness within. Dear friend, there is one truth we must hold close. Happiness is not the moment when the storm has passed, but the moment you learn how to dance beneath the rain. And yet, remember this as well. Every soul is unique, shaped by different wounds, different paths, and different experiences. The Buddhist teachings we have shared here are spiritual anchors, gentle insights drawn from ancient wisdom to support inner peace and a more conscious way of living. They are not a substitute for medical diagnosis, professional therapy, or specialized care. If you are facing emotional pain that feels too heavy to carry alone, seeking support from a mental health professional is not weakness. It is an act of courage and wisdom on your own path of healing. Never forget that within you there is a quiet strength, unseen, yet enduring. You are strong enough to walk through this moment, just as you have already survived every dark season that once seemed impossible. Peace is not far away. It does not live in some flawless future. It is here, hidden in this very breath, in this gentle act of acceptance, in this moment of coming home to yourself. When you change the way you see, the world around you begins to change as well. Do not force yourself to become perfect. Simply allow yourself to become peaceful. If there is one lesson among these 10 that touched your heart most deeply, share it with us in the comments below. Your words may not only lighten your own heart, but also become a small light of encouragement for someone else who is still searching for a way through the storm. Thank you for walking with us in this quiet space. May your day be peaceful, your mind clear, and your life flow with grace. Wishing you a day of stillness,